What is up, Nickel City Mafia? Welcome to another edition of Sunday Night Bills Talk. And you might be wondering who this gentleman is to the side of me. Where's Jake Podger? Jake seems to be gone the last few shows. Yes, my co-host has been out in another wedding, and he's breaking a record. I think this is his 12th in the last 6 months. So he's recovering tonight. But listen, hey, I've got someone amazing. So I got Tommy from Mafia Sports Report, who's just been killing it. I mean, I love his show. I love him and Mikey. I love him and Miles. But I'm going to let him tell you all about his show. And actually, Tommy, I'd love to know your story about how you became a Bills fan.
Yeah, man. So I guess we'll start from how I became a Bills fan. So So the year was 1989. No, so the year was 1989.
Was it really?
Yeah. So I'm 44. I'm getting up there. Anyway, so it was 89, and I just started getting into sports, like playing sports, watching sports, but I wasn't like set on. I was more on the out. You know, you're a kid, you're going out. So during the playoffs, my mom's boyfriend was watching NFL playoffs, and the Buffalo Bills were on. And I'm like, oh, that's a cool-looking team. Now, mind you, I'm from South Florida, right? I was born and raised South Florida. And my mom, big Dolphins fan. Like, you know, that's how it is. And but I don't even know if the Dolphins were in the playoffs. I think they was just watching. And the Bills were playing. I'm like, who is this team? Like, this is pretty cool. Like, I got into it. I'm like, damn, Jim Kelly.
Jim Kelly, man.
Yeah, dude. So I'm like, all right. So we lost to the Browns. Right. And I was like, but I don't know, something about it. It like drew me in. Right. And so I watched the next season, and we got to the Super Bowl 1990 against the Giants, which is heartbreaking. And then I just didn't stop from there. I was just a diehard Bills fan, and a lot of heartbreak, obviously, in the early 90s with the Super Bowls. And then a lot of disappointment, right, for 17 years. But it was still fun. Like, I love being, Bills Mafia. I love being a Bills fan, even though it's been a roller coaster, to watch, a roller coaster ride. Even now, right? Like, I mean, God, even with this, how great this team's been since McBean's took over, it's been a roller coaster, right? Like, and it's just like, oh man, like, when can we finally get it? So anyways, that's how I became a Bills fan. Just watching, just sat down one day on the couch. My mom's boyfriend watching football, and I'm like, oh, this team looks interesting. And I was a diehard Bills fan. I used to go to the Bills games in Miami. And at that time I was super young, but I used to tie, like, I'd go there with the Dolphins stuffed animal tied. I would just walk it on the sidewalk on the way to the stadium. My mom was so embarrassed, and I didn't care. I was just like, and no one's going to do nothing to a kid, you know what I mean? But I was just like, had my Bills gear on. I remember my mom bought me a Bills jacket, like a winter jacket in South Florida, because I wanted it so bad I would wear it. And it was just not good. But I was diehard, man. I wanted Bills gear. But yeah, that's how I became a Bills fan. Just happened to sit down one day and saw football was on, and it was the Buffalo Bills, and they caught my attention and been diehard since.
The rest is history.
Rest is history.
Let me tell you a little bit about that 89 game that you're talking about, the Cleveland Browns. That was a playoff game. Mm-hmm. And me and a few of my friends, we took the trip from Buffalo to Cleveland the night before. We got tickets. And we were there at that game, and we were there at the end when it was coming down. The Bills had a chance to win it. And then Kelly threw that beautiful pass to Ronnie Harmon off his hands. And then the next play or next two plays, they throw an interception. But so that's kind of cool that you picked that particular game. And yes, I'm a bit older, Tommy, but yeah, I was there at that game, and it was an incredible game. And then the 90s, right there with you with the heartbreaking stuff.
It was tough.
So, Tommy, why don't you tell everyone, Nickel City Mafia, tell them about your channel, Mafia Sports Report.
Yeah. So started in 2020. Really bad. It was really awful stuff in the beginning. So if you want to see some cringe-worthy podcasts, go back and watch in 2020. My first ever video, I did a video, was we played the Broncos, and I did like a preview, and it was so bad. I used my phone. It was diangle or whatever, and I had the curtain open and bright light, but I just wanted to do a show so bad in 2019, actually. and I just didn't have the nerves to do it. It took me like, I was just like, I want to do it, but I'm nervous going on camera. Like, what if it's dead air? I go live and I just have nothing to say, or I get a freeze. And it took me a while. And then, you know, I kind of was watching other people's podcasts, like Hashtag Sports. And I'm like, kind of learning a little bit on how they handle, what they do and how they talk, whatever. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. F it. Right. I'm going to make a video. And it was bad. It was bad. But, along the way, the good thing about what, the world we're in, the space we're in, we meet a lot of content creators. Right. And a lot of people give you tips and say, hey, don't do this, right? Get this mic, get this camera. You know what I mean? Like, so I had a lot of help along the way. I'm not going to lie. Like, a lot of people went out of their way to help me, and that was nice. And that's what Bill's Mafia is all about. So, shout out to them, Hashtag Sports, shout out to Greg Tomset. A lot of people that helped me out early on to get me where I'm at today, as far as, the page growth and all that. And then I found Mikey, me and Mikey, linked up in 2021 on Hashtag. And then we've been rolling since, but the channel's great, man. I'm trying to do something different over there, trying to make it more than just a Bills channel. I have wrestling podcasts on there on Tuesdays. I'm trying to get baseball and hockey. I'm just, I have boxing, I do UFC, just trying to make it fun, different. And yeah, man, that's how it got started. But yeah, my early stuff really bad. But you got to start somewhere. And it is what it is, man. But yeah, it's funny though. In 2019, I did a test run, and I made some videos because I was like, "How do I do this?" In my first initial test run, I'm like, I'm so nervous. Maybe I should just make a fake character. So I did like this Italian guy. It was so bad. Thank God I never uploaded it to YouTube, but it was bad. I had like a little Italian music in the background while I talked.
Oh my goodness.
And it was bad. It was like, hey, how you doing over there? The Buffalo Bills. And it was so bad. But I just was like so nervous of just being myself, man. And eventually I'm like, F it. Just be myself and do it. And rest is history, man.
Yeah, and I feel you, man, because let me tell you, I have some really bad live shows when I first started myself. I was just on my own, and I made the mistake of going live, Tommy. I went live. I'm like, I'm going to do all my shows live. And back then, we didn't have these streaming services that we do that make things a little easier. I was doing it all off of a software called OBS, and I had to keep an eye on the technical stuff, and I was trying to keep track of where I was. I would lose track. I would say things multiple times. There's been times I've looked back at the videos and I'm like, I should hide this, but no, I don't. I keep them there, and I keep them there for one reason. I want my kids to see them watch them someday and have a fun laugh at Dad. And they laugh at me anyway, but I want them to go back and see those shows.
Oh,
I feel you.
Dude, yeah. Yeah, dude, it's actually good going back, looking at your older stuff and see like how far you come. I always tell people that, like, even like my wrestling guys, like they never did a live podcast, never did no video, and they went live, and it was tough for them for a couple weeks. They were like, the intros were rough for them, and I'm like, just stick with it, and eventually it's gonna come to ease with you, right? You're gonna nail the intro, and then once you kind of get flowing, it's easy, especially when you have a co-host, right? You could bounce back.
Oh yeah,
and then once you build a chat, then the chat kind of guides you along too, helps you. Like you just feed off the chat. And Mikey's first day, bro, was so bad. So Mikey, his first live ever with me, I'm like, because I already have been doing a couple lives up until that point. But Mikey, in 2021, when we linked up, he was the host, and he went live and it went live, and he was like he froze, and then he went with it, and it was really rough, and I'm like, you know what, I'm not gonna step in, I'm just gonna let him. You gotta go through it. So Mikey, first couple weeks kind of went probably what you went through, kind of just like finding his way, and then boom, Mikey found his way and he's good to go.
Yeah, he's a professional now, let me tell you.
Oh yeah.
So on the Sunday Night Bills Talk, this is our third episode, and we give a shout out to some amazing wing spots in Buffalo. We've already talked about Doc Sullivan's. We've talked about the Bar Bill. This week, it is all about the 911 Tavern. And the 911 Tavern is in South Buffalo on Bloomfield Street. And, there it is. It's a typical dive bar. If you pull up to it, you're like, Mike, what did you send me to? What the heck is this place? But go in there and order the wings. They only have the 3 traditional buffalo sauces. They have the mild, medium, and hot. They don't do all those other specialty sauces, so they focus on just the traditional one, and they have perfected it. I mean, what was it? Joe Marino, I think, on his show, he mentioned going there, and a few other folks on their podcast, because they were all there in Buffalo for the training camp, and a few of them would go to 9/11. Jake's been there. Jake loves it. We had his friend Timmy on a couple weeks ago. The 9/11's a real deal. So go check them out. I mean, and also their fries are fantastic. So just the 3 sauces. I mean, they don't have those specialty sauces, Tommy.
All right. I almost think, listen, I'm just saying, throwing this out there, they better promote the hell out of 9/11 opening night, Bills versus Jets, considering their bar. That's an easy promotion for them.
I mean, look at those wings, man.
Those wings look legit. Are you a flats guy, by the way? Or are you
I'm a flats. I am a flats guy.
I'm a drumstick, man. I don't like fighting to get meat, man. Just give me the drumstick. I'm good, but I'll eat both. I don't care, but drumsticks, I'm a drumstick guy.
Yeah, my wife, she makes the wings because out here on the West Coast, I just can't find good wings. So she's perfected it for me. She researched it, makes amazing wings, and she knows all about the flats.
There you go.
So, great stuff there. So here we are. I mean, we've been talking for about 12 minutes, and now we're going to get into what the show's going to be about. By the way, let me say hi to everyone. We got some folks out there. We got Brett from the Go Bills podcast. He's talking about, I thought the team was really good moving the ball downfield. Yeah, we're going to get into that. And let's see, Big Al. And so this is definitely on my key takeaways here. Barkley was awesome. He should be Allen's backup. Do we have a backup controversy brewing? We'll talk about that in a little bit. Reed was a spectator. I'm not sure what that Reed
was spectacular. I think
spectacular. Oh yeah. Okay. Gotcha. I don't know why I saw that as spectator. Bad eyes. And then what else we got? We got Tom out there. Barkley was better quarterback. Yep. We'll talk about that. And then I think we need to start the. Yeah. Here we go. So everyone's talking about that quarterback situation. We got Keith, who's a
Isn't
Dolphin
that great,
fan.
by the way? It's like we're worrying about the backup.
I know. Hey,
of all things, cool, man.
I totally agree. I mean, then we got Keith. He's on the AFC East Summit channel. By the way, I highly recommend you get out and check it out. But he is the Dolphin fan, obviously, and he says your mom sounds super smart. He thinks her and him would get along really well. And I have to ask Tommy, is mom mad that you went away from the Dolphins? Is she upset?
Well, I never was a Dolphin fan to begin with, so she can't be upset about that. But yeah, my whole family is Dolphin fans. The only thing I will say, it's weird because growing up in South Florida, by the way, like the only team I like from South Florida is the Miami Hurricanes. A big Hurricane fan. And by the way, that was greatest times back in the early 2000s watching the Hurricanes, man. But other than that, I like the Tigers, the Pistons, and the Buffalo Bills. I'm all over. So,
gotcha.
But yeah, they hated it because they're all everything. Miami, Heat, Dolphins. Like everything. And no, man, I was like, nope. I stick with what I like, and this is it. And it is what it is.
Thankfully, they don't play like Thanksgiving games against each other or Christmas games, because I'm not sure how that would go. Kind of ruin a holiday.
It was. I will say though, early '90s was a rivalry, man. Like I think that's why I hated the Dolphins. So like that's like probably my most hated team because we had the battles, in the early '90s, like when the Bills were the shit, way back in the day, and now we're the shit again. But you know what I mean? Like that, like until once the Patriots took over the division, the Bills and Dolphins rivalry just went away, in my opinion. Yeah. But and we were never a rivalry with New England, so I can't really hate New England like that. Like, you know what I mean? Never were like at a battle with New England, right? Like, so it's the Dolphins for me.
Yeah, the Kelly Marino rivalry was fantastic.
Oh, dude, it was great, man.
We got Sophia out there. She's actually out in Hawaii. Aloha,
hey,
Sophia.
I hope everything's all right over there, by the way. Like, I know with the fire stuff going on.
Yeah. Hopefully everything's going well with Sophia. We appreciate you, Sophia. Good to see you. And then we got Linda out there. So good to see you out there, Linda. Appreciate you as well. And then Keith says a one-sided rivalry. Awesome. So, Tommy, I got some takeaways I'll go through with you,
Yeah.
get your take on these things, and then maybe you have some at the end. But first, before we get into all the Bills takeaways that I have, I wanted to get your thoughts on Anthony Richardson, the 4th overall taken. I mean, he was out on the field. He started, which is kind of cool. I kind of compared him to a Cam Newton who can run like a Lamar Jackson and has the arm of a Josh Allen or Pat Mahomes. I mean, the dude has a cannon for an arm.
Yeah.
But what was your thoughts on what you saw from him?
Not a lot of action. You didn't really, like, for me to really like dive deep into what. But from what I saw, he's a rookie. He's going to make some stupid decisions. The one throw, the interception, was a typical Josh Allen 2018 throw, right? Trying to do too much, throwing off his back foot, right? Like, just sidearmed it kind of in a way. And, it was a bad decision. Matter of fact, even if he got the ball there, Hyde was draped all over McKenzie. So I don't even know if it was a right decision to even go to McKenzie there. And I just kind of felt like he was trying to do too much there. Pressure was on. And that's an Allen thing. When Allen, 2018, he would try to force balls in there instead of just either throwing it away or whatever, even taking a sack. Sometimes, I know sacks suck, but it's better than a turnover, especially on your side of the field. So, just that was a boneheaded mistake. But you could see the potential, and that's how I saw Josh Allen his rookie year. Like you could see the arm, you could see that he can get out of the pocket and move. He has a speed. He broke the Gregory Rousseau tackle. By the way, Gregory Rousseau should have had that because I get he's a bigger quarterback, but Greg Rousseau's not a small guy. Like, you got to make that. You got to make that tackle, Rousseau. Love you, but you got to make it.
Yeah.
But what I saw, I'll tell you more next week when I see him. His highlights next week, because it was so minimal. You can't really judge him off that performance. It was so short. He didn't get many snaps. So I think the Colts are going to probably have a rough year, like the Bills did in 2018 with him under center, and that's okay. It's really up to, quarterbacks like that. It's up to them how they want to, further their career as far as like off season, working at their craft, working on their mechanics, getting with just like Josh Allen got with Jordan Palmer in the off season, like all that stuff, believe it or not, it helps a lot, man. And the team's not telling these guys, hey, I need you to do this in off season because it's their time. But if they want to get better, they have to do that. And, maybe we'll see if he does that, next off season, works better on his craft. Because I think this year you're going to see flashes just like Allen, but you're also going to see some bad boneheaded mistakes.
Yeah, that's a great comparison to Josh because, what was the knock on Josh coming out of college was his accuracy. And then the same thing, I go way back in the 90s when Jim Kelly came out of college, same thing, accuracy. And we saw everything that they talked about. I mean, he only started 1 year last year for Florida. And, the accuracy was the knock on him coming out of college. So like you said, if he works on that, similar to what Josh did, they could have a future star here. But so everything I saw was pretty much what, the draft stock had said on him is like, he's fast. He's got a rocket arm. Man, he does. You saw a couple times where he flicked that ball and it was like a rocket.
Yeah.
So he's got all the potential. Like you said, he's an athletic freak. He has everything you want.
I'll tell you what, and that's a good comment by Keith, your Dolph fan. One thing he has that Josh didn't in 2018, and Brandon Beane admits it, he made a mistake, is a good backup quarterback, a veteran. And Gardner Minshew is a perfect quarterback there on the bench, talking in his ear because he's going to make mistakes. And like, I wish Barkley was around on Josh's rookie year. You know what I mean? That would have been a perfect guy his rookie year. And Josh had to go through the, bumps in the road, man, by himself. And Brandon Beane admits that was a mistake. And it is what it is, man. Luckily, Josh Allen, it didn't let him get to him. You know what I mean? Because I can see a lot of quarterbacks messing their career up like that. Going into a bad team and no veteran quarterback there to kind of guide him, help him out on the side, and it could turn bad. Luckily,
all right. let's get into the Bills key takeaways. So first of all, let me just give you the starting lineups, which was it was so exciting to see a lot of the starters out there. I mean, up until Thursday, Friday, I didn't expect to see a lot of them out there. But starting for the Buffalo Bills on offense was James Cook at running back, Gabe Davis at wide receiver, Khalil Shakir, Trent Sherfield, Dawson Knox. On the offensive line, Deion Dawkins, Connor McGovern, Mitch Morse. And I know a lot of people are going to be happy to hear this, which I kind of expected to see him starting during the preseason, was Osiris Torrance. And we're going to talk about him. He's one of the key takeaways. And Spencer Brown. So there you go. I mean, and then Kyle Allen was at quarterback. So to see all these guys there on the field, we already knew that Josh Allen and Steph Diggs were not going to be there. That was announced, I think, Wednesday by McDermott. But let's get into what the channel's been talking about, because that's my first takeaway. I know during camp, all the things I've been hearing about these backup quarterbacks was concerning. I think you even had mentioned it on your show. I feel a little bit better. I mean, Kyle Allen threw a pick six, but I don't know if I fully put that on him. I mean, it hit. I always say if the receiver, if it
wasn't his fault,
hands, you got to catch that ball, right? And that was off Shaver's hands. But Matt Barkley. Okay, let's go through quick numbers here, and I'll throw it to you. He was 14 of 15, 172 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. His rating was 154, which is off the charts. Now, don't forget, though, he's going against second and third stringers in that second half. So don't get too excited yet. Whereas Allen was going against the first and second stringers in the first half. They even had Allen start the third quarter, and then that pick six happened, and then they put Barkley in there. And then Kyle Allen was 8 of 15 for 122 yards, 1 interception. His rating was pretty darn bad. But again, he was going against the first teamers, second teamers. He's learning a new system. I didn't think he looked that bad, but Tommy, let me get your thoughts on that.
Awful. Listen. I last year, going into last year, I was like, you can't have Barkley as your backup. And I said it on Twitter, and everyone blew up because everybody loves Barkley, and I get it. Good dude. Help Josh. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not saying like Barkley has to go. And I don't think that was the Bills' plan this year. I think their plan was practice squad for him, and he's a good guy to have, and no one's going to pick him up. No one's picking Matt Barkley up, right? So you're not going to lose Barkley. And I think that was their initial plan, and it was last year. And then they picked up Case Keenum, who winded up being awful. Okay, and I was like, God, but you still couldn't put Barkley in there, right? You just couldn't. And thank God nothing happened. And let's just hope nothing happens this season. But everything in the training camp has shown me, or everything I've heard and people that's attended, Kyle Allen and Barkley have both really been bad. And I'm like, you know what? Let's see when the lights come on. Everybody has a switch. When the lights come on, you're playing a different opponent, like other than yourself. And I still felt like Kyle Allen. I mean, I watched the film again today. I rewatched the game because I always like to rewatch the next day, like kind of just focus on like certain players. And man, Kyle Allen was bad. He was bad. Don't get it twisted. He was throwing into tight coverage when he shouldn't have. He wasn't going through his reads. He had good pass protection. There's no excuse. It wasn't like he was like so under pressure. He was doing things a rookie would do, like running into a defender. The interception wasn't his fault, but everything else, it was. He just made bad decisions most of the night. Now, you could see the arm strength, not bad. Like there was a couple of really good throws. The one to Shakir, he got going. He started to get going a little bit there, but nothing where I'm comfortable with him coming in and if he had to and win us games. Now, Barkley was Barkley. Listen, he played against second and third stringers. He doesn't have a good arm. Let's be honest here. He's a floating type pass that stays in there a minute. It could work good. It could work in his favor sometimes, and it could be a negative, right? And if it's a competition right now, then fine. I want to see him back up Allen next week, and you'll see what Barkley you get, because I don't think you're going to see the same Barkley. But I will say, he has the lead right now, in my opinion, because I think Allen's been so bad, one, and two, he knows this offense. He's been on this team a while. He knows the players. And I think he has a little bit of an advantage, and I'm not comfortable with it. It sucks. And I will say this, watch out for the end of preseason for players to get cut from other teams and have the Bills may potentially go out there and get a quarterback who's cut off another squad. That's a more reliable backup, because I don't trust either one of these guys. I can't. I love Barkley, but trust me, he's a pocket passer. He doesn't fit this offense as far as like regular season goes. He's not going to do like Kyle Allen could at least get out of the pocket, but what can he do with the ball? I mean, you've seen what he could do. He seems like he's quick. He has happy feet. You know what I mean? You saw that in the preseason game too. He doesn't go through his reads. So I don't know, man. I don't like it. I don't like what
I will tell you this. Surprisingly, they both make about the same amount of money. So if they were to cut one, and the cap hits $350,000 if you cut Allen, and it's like $235,000 if you cut Barkley. And again, like you said, no one's gonna grab Barkley. He's gonna be on that practice squad. So I agree with you that, let's see if a veteran, if a team cuts somebody that would be a better security blanket in the event. Josh Allen.
I mean, you never know. Like, look at Sam Darnold, right? Yeah. Over at, I think it's San Francisco, right? Yeah. I mean, are they going to keep 3 quarterbacks on their roster? Because they got Purdy, right? They got right. Lance. I doubt Lance going anywhere. And they're going to keep a third guy on the team. And if they do, they do. But he's a guy that I would definitely look out for that could potentially be cut. Yeah. And I wouldn't mind him at all. He's Josh's friend. You guys seen, what he could do. He's a very good. He'd be like a Mitch Trubisky type of backup, which is fine. I would be way more comfortable with a player like that backing up Josh Allen. Way more comfortable.
Yeah, so it sounds like we got a backup quarterback controversy brewing, which we didn't think we would. But let me say something at Go Bills podcast. He kind of predicted this a couple of weeks ago on one of our shows. He was like, should we be talking about the backup quarterbacks? And at first we were like, and I think I saw you on that show. You jumped in on the live chat. We're like, nah, Allen will be the second string, the backup. And, Barkley will go to the practice squad. And now we're like, interesting. So we'll see a couple more weeks. But like you said, if Allen doesn't improve, and it's not like we spent a lot of money on him, and easily can look for somebody else that's more veteran. So I like that. Correct. I like that take a lot.
Yeah, and it could be a cheap pickup too. A lot of these guys probably be. Look how cheap we got Mitch, by the way. That one year it was like $2 million.
Over, it was crazy.
So
actually, I thought Pittsburgh was gonna last year. So they would have saved them a lot of money if they cut him. And I was like, let's bring Mitch back, but that didn't happen. But we'll see what happens.
Smart, by the way, what they did with him.
Yeah,
they gave him a 2-year extension. Yeah. And it's a perfect guy to have behind your rookie. Second year starter.
Right. All right, so let's move on to the running backs, because that's another key takeaway. I am so excited about this running back room. I mean, we didn't get to see Damian Harris. He's dinged up, but you know what? I think Damian Harris falls to number 3 now. Latavius Murray, looking fantastic. I mean, the guy is huge. Did you know, Tommy? He runs. Back in his day, he's probably a little slower, but he ran in the 4.38s. He ran in the 4.4s. I'm sure it's not as quick now. He's also got extremely good hands, receiving hands, and we saw that. And then again, Cook. James Cook looks ready to cook. I mean, he looks ready to take over that primary running back role, and I am so excited to have those two. Now, if Damian Harris, of course, I think there's a spot for him, and I think he makes the squad, of course.
Yeah.
But he's always been injury prone. If you get him healthy, great. But if these two are the two we roll with, I'm extremely excited about this. What's your thoughts there, Tommy?
Yeah, I'm good with it. But weird, I follow Bill's Wire. I don't know if you follow them. They always have some very good, good articles. And they had the players that, I think they had trending up, trending down after that game. They had Murray down. I got to disagree on that. Bill's Wire, I love you.
Wow.
Yeah, weird. I guess they felt like he didn't run well. But listen, man, it's still a question mark, this running back room. I got to see more from Cook, but what I saw yesterday was good. Like, it was a positive sign. He looks ready. He looks like he's going from where he left off last season. Because last season, the beginning of the season, I would say first half, I felt like the game was a little bit too fast for him. He wasn't, he wasn't being patient with his blocks. Miscommunication as far as with Josh running the wrong routes. And I felt like this, at the second half of the season, he kind of came along. Game slowed down a little bit for him. He was more patient with his running, better between the tackles as well. And yesterday, same thing. I thought like he was patient with his blocks. That's how I sprung him a touchdown. By the way, shout out to Trent Sherfield, who made a great block for him to get in. But he's also, I got to say, he's also getting the benefit of a much better O-line, in my opinion, than what Devin Singletary had to deal with while I was here. With McGovern, who is more of a run blocking offensive lineman, and now you got Torrance in there as well, and obviously Spencer Brown's a good run blocking offensive lineman. So I feel like he's going to get the benefit of that as well. But as far as Murray goes, listen, go back, watch his film last year. He still has some juice in the tank. He still has some wheels. He's not slow by any means. Like, the dude can break one to the house. But yeah, 6'3", bigger back, relatively healthy, unlike Harris, which is a concern. And look, I was concerned about Harris when we signed him, and look, he's already banged up.
Yeah.
And I don't wish that upon anyone. I don't want to be right about anything like that. Like, it's sucky. If we can get the Harris back in, I think it was 2021 when he had 15 touchdowns with the Patriots, lovely. Hey, I'll take it all day. But his track history tells me that probably won't happen, and it's already showing. And I think Murray is going to be probably your lead, your number two, your lead number two, and I'm fine with that. As long as he can stay healthy, as long as Cook can continue to do what he's doing, this running game will be fine. But Harris is a problem. And by the way, they can still cut Harris. And if they do cut Harris, that'll be because they found another running back off waivers. That's the only reason I could see that happening. Other than that, they're going to wind up keeping all three.
Yeah, it is interesting that whoever the show you were watching or who you were following said Murray was down because, so Cook averaged 5 yards on 4 carries and he had that one touchdown. It's interesting too, like when they were running, we're going to talk about the old line, but it seemed early on they were running to the left behind Dawkins and McGovern. Yeah. And of course, like you said, Sherfield had that beautiful block on his touchdown run. Murray averaged 3.6 yards on 5 carries, but he caught all 3 of his targets for 21 yards. So again, and then in camp, you've been hearing all kinds of good things about Murray, how big he is, how fast he still is. Got some funny folks out here saying, Keith saying, can Murray still run a 4.40 with the walker that he's going to require? Come on now, Keith.
Go look at his hey, I'm going to tell you, honestly, go look at his film last year. And I believe he is right now, current running backs in the league, I think he's second in touchdowns, since 2020, something like that. Like, he has a lot of touchdowns. So the dude could still play. Like, don't get it twisted. Like, not every running back is different as they age. Not all running backs go to shit in the 30s, right? I'm just throwing that out there. Some running backs stay pretty. Look at Frank Gore. Frank Gore's in the league a long time, man, and still produce. So age works different for every running back, I think.
Yeah, we had one of our friends who's a big Ravens fan. He's on the channel, and he messaged us and said that Murray might be the best backup running back in the league. So good signing there. Good signing there for sure. Oh, man.
Cheap too. It's not like we pay. Listen, it's not like he's our starting running back. It's not like we paid him buku bucks. He's a backup running back we signed because what was the biggest problem the Bills had last year as far as running, right? It was short yardage situations, right? 3rd and 1s, right? 4th and 1s, goal line, right? We always had to rely on Josh to pick up the yard or two because we couldn't get it with the smaller backs. That's the reason why they went out and got Murray, a guy that's 6'3", a guy that could push the pile, get in there for the short yardage so we don't have to rely on Allen. That was the reason why we signed him. It wasn't because, we need this great running back to Like that had nothing to do with it. So, no, I think he's a perfect complementary back for Cook, and he's a perfect back to have in the red zone and short yardage.
Yeah, love it. By the way, this is the only show that you can get ice cold Loganberry on tap, 50-cent wings all night, and dollar drinks for the next hour. Although we're 35 minutes in, I might have to ask the staff if we can extend that a little bit. But please be kind to your bartender and your staff by hitting that hitting that like button, and dropping a nickel on that subscribe button for us. We really appreciate that. I was watching a video that I did the other night, and I realized how many times I say, I greatly appreciate you. I really appreciate you. And that's because I really do appreciate all of you out there. Thank you for your support there. The next thing I wanted to go over, another key takeaway, is the wide receiver. And Tommy, can we keep 8 receivers by any chance? Can we find a way? Because I'll tell you what, some of those bigger guys, those younger guys, man, gonna hate to see them go. But Khalil Shakir. So look, I've been talking about Khalil. I love this man.
Yeah.
But I'm starting to see a trend that I'm concerned about. The knock on him coming out of college was that he'll make those acrobatic catches, but he'll lose that concentration and drop a pass he should not drop. You or I, Tommy, could catch that pass. So he comes out of the gate and makes 2 great catches. I mean, he has to go high for one, has another one with a corner draped all over him. Yeah. And then on a 3rd down, that would have extended a drive, beautiful pass to him, drops it. So I'm starting to see this. We hear this in training camp. We kind of saw a little bit of that last year. So I'm a little concerned there. I would like to get your thoughts on that one before we move on to any of the other wide receivers.
It's concerning, but it's something that he knows and he'll work. He'll continue to work on. He did it last year. He had a couple drops wide open, one early in the season with Allen. It was, I don't remember what route it was, but it wide open and he dropped it. And then he did one, I believe, in the playoff game. He dropped one that he should have had, but then he came back and made a great catch later in the game in that one. But yeah, it's not overly concerning because he's only been in the league 1 year, right? And he's still learning. He worked with Eric Moulds in the offseason, which is my favorite Bills player ever, and it's a great guy to get advice from, to work with, teach technique. But yeah, maybe different gloves. Who knows what's going on? It could be something mental, like he just feels like so open, he's ready to run with the ball before he catches it. I don't know that. That's I can't. Only he will know why he's making that error. But if he could fix that, he's going to be a really good receiver in this league, in my opinion. And I still have faith in him. He just needs to clean that up because that will cost you playing time, 100%. And that also will get Allen to go in a different direction. And Allen's been known to do that. If he can't trust you, he probably won't throw you away. So he needs to get that right. Whatever he needs to do, fix, get different gloves, whatever, or just work on the jug machine. Or if it's mental, I don't know. He needs to figure that problem out, correct it, and he'll be fine.
It's also almost a little bit like Knox, right? It's a similar thing to Dawson. He'd make those great catches, and then he'd drop that easy one. He still kind of does that, but he's been working hard on his receiving skills. You see him all the time working on that, training to get the better hands. So I think Khalil will get there. It's just concerning. And I even saw in the red and blue scrimmage game on a punt to him, like he was returning punts. He muffed it. Yeah, so concerning, right? You do not want someone muffing a punt in a football game. But he's got great hands. How he can make those acrobatics, but just lose that concentration, always surprises me. But again, I heard, and people think he's small. He's not. He's 6 foot. He's almost 200 pounds, folks. So if you think Khalil Shakir is a short receiver, he is not, and he runs fantastic routes. So anyhow, let's look at, so he was the front runner. Him and Deontay Hardy, it seemed to be the battle for the slot position. Trent Sherfield didn't get any balls thrown his way, but he had that great block that we talked about on James Cook's run.
I think he had one thrown his way, and I think it was broken up, or it was just difficult. It wasn't a very good decision on Allen's.
You are right. He had one target. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, so
same with Deontay Hardy.
Tough catch.
Same with Deontay
Yeah,
Hardy.
Hardy is going to be an interesting one to watch, man. So short, 5'6", by the way. I don't know if he's the shortest player in the league, but I think he is. Bro, did you see him lining up when he
Yes.
went out there when they were in the huddle? My God, he looks like a kid out there. He is so small. But he's dangerous. Like, if he's in the open field, he's a player that could easily take it to the house. He's that fast. So I'm excited to see what Ken Dorsey has in store for Hardy this season. If he's going to have him as a gadget type receiver that's just kind of lining up all over the field. Because, also too, I will say this, he's an over the top receiver, and that's something McKenzie wasn't, right? And he is. So you look for him as far as that as well, a deep threat option for Allen to go to.
Yeah. It is a little telling, though, because Khalil did have 35 snaps. I mean, he was on the field for 35 snaps, and Deontay Hardy was, like you said, he was pretty quiet. He had one target thrown to him. Sherfield had one, but it feels like Khalil's still that front runner based on what I saw yesterday. Yeah, he had that one drop, but with that many times on the field, that many snaps, it's a little telling to me that he's still the front runner there.
Yeah. I think I believe so.
So I want to continue on with these receivers. So Tyrell Shavers, right? Shavers looked. I mean, I've always liked the bigger, faster wide receivers. This guy's coming out of San Diego State. I think he's like 6'3", or 6'4",
6'4",
and he can run a 4.3. He's lightning fast, and so he had a couple nice plays, but he had a drop just like Khalil did, right in his hands, easy pass, and then of course he was involved in that interception, pick six, when Kyle Allen put it on himself. I like that about a quarterback when they put it on themselves. It wasn't the most perfect pass, but still, growing
Catchable.
up as a kid, if it hits your hands, you got to catch it. That's what I tell my son all the time. But, Shavers, I liked what I saw from Keyshawn Johnson. Didn't see much from, I'm looking at the stats here. I didn't see much from Shorter at all. Actually, nothing.
A
lot of special
quick
teams.
Observation on Shorter. So he was, and it's a good one because it kind of tells you something. So Justin Shorter was in with the ones early. He didn't get a lot of snap counts, but him being in with the ones tells you something. And, I think this dude makes the 53. There's something there that they like. I don't know why they would put him with the ones if they weren't planning on keeping him, right? Why not throw him in with the 2s and 3s? He didn't get any targets, and I think the game plan, honestly, was to see what the run game. Ken Dorsey kind of seemed like he was run heavy a little bit there. You want to see the offensive line, yeah. So I feel like Shorter, Kincaid, because even Kincaid got on the field, I think 1 play or 2. Didn't see any balls thrown his way. They didn't, no action. And I think you'll see that next week. Now, will Shorter be with the ones again with Allen? I don't know, but I think this week they just want to see what they had with the offensive line and what they had with the running backs. They got to pass a little bit at the end there, but I feel like when Allen was in early, it was mainly just let's see what we have with the offensive line and running. So players like Shorter, Kincaid didn't really get the benefit in that game, in my opinion. So that's probably why Shorter was quiet or didn't really have any, targets or receptions.
Yeah, I think he played some special teams, and I'm with you, Tommy. There's no doubt in my mind that he makes the 53-man roster. I'm not just because he was a little quiet here. I think they were just showcasing a lot of these undrafted free agents later in the game, and of course they were making some nice plays. So Keyshawn Johnson, we saw Andy Isabella had 3 catches for 42 yards. Marcel Aitman, who was drafted by the Colts, had a nice day and a touchdown. He had that nice 21-yarder. Actually, no, it wasn't Aitman who caught a touchdown. It was Shavers and Patman.
Patman from the Colts. I think
Patman was the one from the Colts. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they all look so good, and you're like, man. And again, these bigger guys, they're all a few of these, they're over 6 feet. They have good speed.
Yeah.
I don't like to.
Shavers is the most. I think Shavers is the most interesting one out of the bunch. There, you just said.
Yeah.
But he had some drops. Right, he needs to work on that. But he's a practice squad guy. I think all those guys are practice squad guys. I don't think they get picked up. I don't think they're intriguing enough for another team to go scoop them up, in my opinion. But I definitely think like a guy like Shavers will make the practice squad. So he'll get cut, make the practice squad. Isabella's interesting, but I got to say his kick returning, it was meh. It was nothing to write home about. Wasn't impressed at all with that. So I think you're going to see Hardy as the primary punt returner and probably kick returner in week one or moving forward in regular season. But as a receiver, Andy Isabella was intriguing. I have to admit, like out of the slot, he has speed to him. I thought he was pretty crisp with his route running. So it will be interesting to see what they do there with him, because I think he may be a player that maybe a team would scoop up if we cut him. But even if we cut him and he goes to practice squad and gets picked up, I wouldn't be crying. Right. You know what I mean? It's not the end of the world. Like, so what? We lost Andy Isabella. Like, it's not the end of the world if he does. But I think that's another player we probably cut and put him on a practice squad.
Yeah, I agree there. We got Topper Harley out there. Good to see you, Topper. Can't wait to see Kincaid in the preseason. Yeah, Kincaid was only in for a few snaps, and obviously they didn't target him. But once Josh Allen is in, and I think we're going to see some of Josh in the second preseason game, I think you're going to see Kincaid get his first completion, a couple of them probably. So I don't know. No surprise there. I was actually, like I said, around Thursday or Wednesday, I wasn't expecting to see many of the ones at all. And I was extremely excited when I did see that they were going to be there. And Kincaid did get out there. There was a loud cheer when he came onto the field. They even said that on the broadcast. Yeah. So good stuff there. I know Knox started, like I had already said. And again, not much going on there. I think he was only on, honestly. I think him and Kincaid were at about 5 or 6 snaps. That's it. They saw the field.
It was very minimal. Very minimal.
Yeah. So were there any receivers? I mean, I think we covered most of them, but anything else in the receiver room that, other than these ones we already talked about, that's got your eye or got your attention?
Trent Sherfield still, even though he didn't do much this game, I think he's a good player, man. I really do. And you got to remember too, who's throwing him the ball this game, right? Kyle Allen. Okay. Like we started the show talking about Kyle Allen. Right? He's pretty bad. Okay. So I wouldn't do too much deep diving into why some of these receivers didn't really get good targets or get the ball right. It's because look who's throwing it to him one, and I don't think the game was called for for receivers to be getting the ball in that game early on. So I think with the connection that Sherfield has and Allen so far in camp, has Ken Dorsey intrigued. And I think he's a good player, man. I think what he did with the Dolphins last year showed a lot what he could do. I think he can easily be a 500-yard receiver, and that's exactly what I think the Bills would want from him. I like his height, I like his size, I like his speed. So I think Sherfield definitely makes this team 100%. And I think you'll see more Sherfield next week when Allen gets on the field.
Yeah, so we got Keith out there who's very familiar with Sherfield, and he said he'll make the team based on his special teams alone. So I have no doubt, I'm right there with you, Tommy, that he makes the 53-man active roster. And then we got a question from Topper. Let's see. Do you guys think Evans is a candidate for the kick returner? I'll let you talk about that first.
Maybe he had a good return on the one. But I don't know. I don't think there's a spot for him. Yeah. I really think, that they're going to have Hardy do both kick return and punt return duties. I just do. I don't think you keep Evans just because of that. I can't see that happening. So no, I don't. I think it's either going to be, listen, I could see Isabella potentially be like the kick returner because they maybe see him as another weapon out there for Allen as far as receiving goes, but Evans would strictly be a kick returner. There'd be nothing else for him. And I think that would be a waste of a roster spot. Even with Andy Isabella, in my opinion, I think you just throw not shorter. I think you just throw Hardy out there. Let Hardy do the damage. You got to remember, too, special teams have changed the rules. So there's going to be a lot of kneel downs, right?
Yeah, fair
Kick
catches.
returner is not what it used to be, guys. So I wouldn't look, I'd be like, oh, we have to have this kick returner. Like, it's not what it once was, right? So punt returner, now that, yeah, like that's important, right? You have to have a good punt returner. That's tough. And Hardy, though he didn't have anything electric Saturday, he caught a very tough punt, 59 yards in the wind. And he caught it cleanly. So I was happy to see. Didn't muff it. Didn't do anything stupid. Barely got hit. It was like a shoestring kind of hit his ankle when he fell. Who knows what kind of yards he would have got if he just got past that guy. But no, I'm confident with Hardy. So I just don't see those guys making a squad.
Yeah, I agree. I can't see them just wasting a spot on just someone who just returns kicks.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, Khalil has done that in the past as well, and I think they were, he could do punt returns as well if needed, if Hardy was hurt. I mean, obviously we have the best punt returner in the game, Micah Hyde. I'm joking, but isn't it funny when we had no one that we could trust, and Micah Hyde was that guy that had to go back there.
Reliable. I called that, by the way. I called that in I think it was the 2021 playoffs. And I said, man, because at that time we had nobody reliable. I think was it Roberts was hurt, or we didn't have Roberts that year? I don't remember, but I was like, watch, Hyde is going to wind up being, or it might have been 2022. Hyde's going to be the punt returner because McDermott just doesn't trust McKenzie. I think McKenzie was doing it at the time. Yeah. And it winded up being Hyde in the playoffs because I was like, he's not going to do anything. He's not going to probably return it, but he's safe bet. He's not going to do anything dumb. He's not going to muff it. So yeah, Hyde was perfect for that, but I don't want Hyde. Listen, with the neck thing, leave him alone. Don't ever put him.
Of course not. No, if he did, you know what Hyde did a lot of times, right? He just wave everyone off, get away from the ball.
Smart.
You always say that, right? We just need our offense to get the ball back. Don't risk touching it. I don't care. You don't need a big return. Just let our offense get the ball. But so I think we're fine there. I don't see Evans.
Yeah.
And let's see here. We got Go Bills podcast. If the Harris injury cuts into the season, do you think the Bills will looking to sign in someone like Dalvin Cook or Zeke Elliott? I think they're both gone by that time. Honestly, I'm actually surprised they haven't been signed, but someone's gonna make a deal.
Yeah.
Here.
Well, Dalvin Cook's interesting, but that's because you guys do know he's has battling some legal thing. So I think teams are a little skeptical there because of that, right? And let's be honest. And I also think he's probably waiting around for a team to have a injury or two and beef up his price a little bit, right? And with Zeke, I don't know. I think Zeke is probably the one player who's going to wind up taking a cheap deal somewhere because he has to. I don't think any team's super intrigued right now with him, but somebody he'll sign somewhere. But I don't know if he'd be a good fit here. But who knows? I honestly, with Harris, I don't know. It all depends on this injury. If they feel comfortable with him going in through the season with that, is it going to be something that's going to be nagging him? And you might as well just go ahead now and just handle your business and sign another player off waivers. If I'm the Bills, honestly though, and this is probably what Brandon Beane's going to do, he's just going to wait. He's going to wait it out for after the preseason, wait for cuts, and that's where you're going to find possibly another backup quarterback. You're going to get some additions, and you're also going to see players that made the team get cut for those new additions. So just be patient with it. But we'll see. I don't know. That's a tough one, man.
Yeah, I'm going to kind of breeze through the tight ends because we already talked about it. Kincaid and Knox really didn't see the field much. And, Quentin Morris had one drop that would have allowed them to kick a field goal.
He did, yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, so we're going to kind of skip right on past them. We expect to see them more next week, of course, if Josh Allen does play, which we expect them to play next week. So you'll see those guys, and we'll be talking about them for sure next week. But let's get to the thumbnail. And I'm probably going to be eating a lot of crow here. But for anyone who thought Torrance may not start day one, like me, you need to check yourself because this man was very impressive. Look, he started with the ones, I mean, he was the right guard. All the other starting O linemen were in there. He saw most of the ones saw about 6 snaps. They saw about one series and they were out. Spencer
Right.
Brown had, and where I'm getting this information, by the way, is PFF. PFF actually does track preseason as well. So Spencer Brown had 6 snaps. Mitch Morse had 6. Connor McGovern 6, and Dawkins. So those 4 went out probably after that first drive. But Torrance stayed in for 20. He had 23 snaps. And dude, he was ready for it. I mean, he was up to the task. They even spotlighted him on, when the third quarter started. I guess the broadcast spotlight. They were watching him closely. They showed some amazing plays. So he had 23 snaps. PFF, if you want to give him a grade from PFF's standpoint, they gave him a 69 grade. He killed it on the pass block, 82.5. And that's what I liked when I was watching the film. Dude, he was into it. He's like, all right, I got my guy taken care of. No one's here. Who can I help? And he was quickly shifting over to help, whether it would be the right tackle or Mitch Morse at center. It was amazing. So for me, if he continues that next week, it's a lock, man. But Tommy, I know you've been saying this from day one, that Torrance will be the starter from day one. So
yeah. Listen, man, I fell in love with this dude before the draft. I was screaming his name in March. I was all over Twitter. Take this dude in the first round. Okay, what do you got to do? You got it. Because my whole thing was, with the Buffalo Bills is I felt like Brandon Beane totally neglected this offensive line since he was been GM. And I love Brandon Beane. I love what he's done here. I just felt like the one position group that he needed to concentrate on, he kind of just kept putting Band-Aids on. And you saw it last year, just the bleeding was just Band-Aids would not work anymore, right? So I felt like going into this offseason, he needed to address it. And if he didn't, we would just be in the same position we've been, every year. And I'm like, hey, this guy, Torrance, if he falls to us, because I wasn't sure if he was even going to fall to us, because he was going into that draft as the best guard, in the draft. Many had him. So I was thinking top 15, maybe top 20. If he gets past 20, I'm like, you got to grab him. You got to do what you got to do. And then when they drafted Kincaid, I was so disappointed because I was just pissed. I'm like, there goes our chance, right? And here we are again, right? We're just signing, the Shells of the world. And that's not a knock on Shell at right tackle. I'm just saying that's what we typically do every season. Get these, guys 1-year deals, and they just don't cut it. And we got lucky when we got Torrance in the second round. I could not believe it. And this guy, follow his track record, he's earned every spot, right? He earned his spot in Florida. It wasn't given. He dominated, and he's a run blocker, but I feel like he's very underrated as a pass blocker. Gave up 0 sacks in college. The dude has awards after award in college. He earned a lot of awards for offensive linemen. And I knew coming into camp, he's going to have to earn it. And that's the McDermott thing. I get that. And I felt like he's done that in camp. And them having him start week 1 of preseason tells me a lot. And having him out there that long tells me a lot as well. And then watching the film back today, and a point that you made earlier with him helping out other other linemen, I saw a few times where he was helping out Shell. He was out helping out Bates when Bates came in at center. Yep. He seemed to be all over the field making blocks, and I didn't see any issues at all. I felt like he held his own. I felt like most of the time he marched forward instead of backwards with his man. Like he controlled his that defensive lineman, and that's exactly what you want to see. I'm sure they're going to go look at the film. I'm sure there's something he did wrong in their eyes, but in what I saw, I saw a guy that performed at a high level, and it's going to be interesting to see what they do next week. Because if he's starting at right guard again next week, I think right there you got your answer going into week 1. And I listen, it's not a knock on Bates. I think Bates is going to be your future center here in Buffalo, and that's why they had him go at center. Mance is terrible, and I wouldn't want Mance in there at all backing up Mitch Morse. God forbid if Morse goes down, which is, you never know with him. And if Morse does go down with the concussion this year, great, fine. We got Ryan Bates. That's cool. Ryan Bates has been on this team a while. I feel comfortable with him coming in, and that's where I'm at with the Torrance thing. So and by the way, real quick shout out to Shell, who was getting knocked. You know, people are like, oh, Shell, Brandon Shell, oh, he's stealing a terrible camp. He played good, man. He played very good yesterday as well. And Spencer Brown too. Shout out to him. I thought he handled his business as well. He looked very sharp yesterday's game. So I thought the whole offensive line, at least that first unit, did very, very well. Even the second kind of unit, it was the third unit that was getting a little sloppy towards the end there when Barkley was in a lot of breakdowns. But I was very happy with what I saw week 1.
Yeah, and if we see what we saw yesterday, he'll make Brown even that much better as well. I want to say that, during the offseason, Tommy, I had Brett working with us. We had Sean from the Red, White, and Bills, and Jake, of course. And we were all about tackle, guard. Torrance was at the top of our list. All our mock drafts, we were getting Torrance when we could. And we were the same boat. We were doing a live show on draft night. And when they took Kincaid, all 4 of us were like, what the heck? Because we wanted a tackle. There were good tackles still out there. Oh, yeah. DeJuan Jones, another beast, was out there. Yep. And he actually made it to the 3rd round, and we took Dorian Williams over him. And then, Torrance falls to us in the 2nd, and then boom. Once we got him, we're like, oh, my God, what a fantastic move. So we wanted him just like you did. And the only reason I was saying he wouldn't start day 1 is because I was being overly cautious based on how the Bills typically handle things with the rookies. But at this point, man, it didn't take long for me to kind of like, no way, we cannot be cautious with this guy. He's got to start. He'll make Brown better. He'll make the center better, whoever's there. Yeah. I love it. Yep. Let's see here. Let me move on down. What do we got out there? I do want to say this, Sophia. I am so impressed with you pulling up PFF and saying Florida teammate Richard Garage, who we love. We talked about him. We had a sponsor, Tommy, last year. There is a company called Gorilla Garage, and they do flooring, shelving, all kinds of cool stuff. They're in Buffalo, and they sponsored us for a month. And Jake and I were talking like, how cool would it be to have Richard Garage join the Bills? We'd have to team them up with Gorilla Garage. But Sophia is saying that he had a flawless second half at left tackle. He got the highest PFF score of all the offensive linemen with greater than 20 snaps. He definitely needs to see 2 team snaps. Sophia, we need to get you on the show. I know you've watched us all the time, but when you come in with those type of stats, I absolutely love it. Thank you for mentioning that one. Unbelievable. So yeah, there's a tackle right there. I know he's undrafted. He's an undrafted free agent. We talked about him a little as well, Jake and I, and the other guys, Sean and Brett, who do shows with us. Again, it would be nice if one of these guys could make the squad just to give us that extra. I know you said Shell looked good. No complaints. What I saw yesterday, but it'd be nice to see a guy who's actually was the teammate of Torrance. So they have that chemistry already. I mean, my goodness, if he had to come in, if he makes the team, it's going to be hard, though. I get it, but I love it.
Yeah. Yep. See what he does. That's what preseason is all about. It's three games. And, that's why I want to stress to everybody. This is not, this is for players, rookies, undrafted guys to showcase themselves, to try to make a team or a practice squad. This is all this is about. This is going to be very vanilla type offense, defense as well. And it's for some players to knock rust off. Some guys coming off from injury. So, man, this is very important for some of these guys like a Garage to go in there and showcase what he can do and try to get a spot. You never know. He could come out week 2 and once again look sharp and then, earn his spot. And players do that all the time, man. So you never know. I mean, don't count him out yet. You never know, man. And injuries happen, by the way. So you never know.
If he doesn't make the team, he's probably if he continues what he's doing on the field there, he's probably a practice squad guy. I don't have any concerns about someone taking him. So I don't worry that we'll lose him. I think he, Mark is saying he makes the final 53. That's going to be extremely tough. But if he doesn't, feel good that he'll probably be on our practice squad. And we got Mr. Podger coming in with a super chat. And you're a little early, my friend. We're going to talk about your guy, Dorian Williams. We're just starting the defense right after this conversation. So I don't want to, get into it too deep just yet. But yes, 2 takeaways. Dorian Williams looked like a ball player. I'll say it again. It'll be impossible to keep him off the field. Andy Isabella's stock way up. So we're going to talk about Dorian in a little bit. Isabella, Jake, he had the 3 catches. Okay. I didn't see anything great on the returns. I think Tommy said that as well. Yeah. But we'll see. We'll see. He's got great speed. So, but there's so many there's so many good players in that wide receiver. I don't think he makes it as a wide receiver.
Yeah.
So does he make it as a returner? Maybe. Special teamers. I think we got that covered as well. So it's going to be tough. But let's not talk about Dorian. Just hang around a little bit longer, Jake, because we're going to talk all about Mr. Dorian Williams. Who else we got out there? Let's see. He's Keith saying your GM passed on Torrance and Garage, who are going to both make the 53. Oh, he's talking to Keith out there, Finns fan. I hear you, Mark. Not happy with the Dolphins O-line. And then what else we got here? Oh, look at this. Look at Sophia going with the numbers here. Wow. 69.9, which run blocking, 61.7, 80.4, 0 pressures, 0 sacks. Yeah. So let's hope that we keep seeing that, Sophia. And then let's see what else we got here. Let's see. Red, White, and Bills. Hardy seems slow on the field. Isabella had a great burst. So I don't think we saw enough. I didn't see enough of Hardy, to be honest.
You can't. Hardy's not going to be showcased that week 1. He was definitely not showcased. He had one. Like I said, go back, watch that punt. It was a great punt, by the way. In the win, you got to know if you didn't watch Buffalo Bills football in Buffalo, fielding punts is difficult, not easy with that win, and it was windy Saturday. And I felt like he handled that well. It didn't muff it. He got barely hit with, shoestring kind of tackle, but it was fine. He didn't set the team back. He didn't muff the punt. As far as receiving goes, he didn't get any chances. So I can't. And by the way, he's not slow. Dude is super fast. So trust me, you'll see it. You just may not see. You just didn't see it week 1 because he wasn't given the opportunity, and you may not even see it at all. I'll be honest with you in preseason because Dorsey is not going to show you his cards. This is like I said earlier. This is to evaluate players and for players to make this squad. I see what you got, and that's it. I think Hardy is going to be definitely in the mix on offense. That's when you'll see what his speed is all about on those gadget type plays, on the deep outs. I think he is going to be the over the top receiver for the Bills this season, and that's why I think you saw in camp that are normally over the top guys been Gabe Davis. Well, guess what? Gabe Davis is now taking different routes. He's not going to be, I don't think, the typical over the top Gabe Davis that he's been since he's been here, which is going to help Gabe Davis out. So, and I think that's why another reason why Gabe Davis is having a great camp. He's not having to go, with only deep passes every single time. So you have a Hardy now that can catch those slants, that can catch those deep outs. He's our speedster now. And that's something McKenzie couldn't offer. And McKenzie last year was our speedster. That wasn't his game.
Yeah. Interesting though that he was out there. He played this week against us.
He did. He made a mistake early.
Yeah.
I returned. That was not probably the wisest decision there.
I know it was like, what do you think he was thinking?
He hesitated.
Like, hey, this is my old team. I got to show them something.
I think it was. Right? It was almost like he wanted to kneel it down, and he changed his mind because he kind of took a step back in a way, like he was going to do it, and then he took it out, and then it was a holding on top of that. So you set your team back, and I'm sure the coach kind of told him, don't do that. You know what I mean? If you're going to do it, if your plan is to go out, then just do it. Like, don't hesitate. You know what I mean? But I kind of felt like he hesitated and it just got caught up. And by the way, Bill's special teams have been always good. So I don't know what he was thinking. He's been on this team. He should know better.
Yeah, they played a Special teams played well. We'll talk about them later. Tommy, we're over an hour, and I just want to say we did talk to the staff. They are able to extend the drinks, $1 drinks for the next hour. Tommy, do you have time? I mean,
I'm good.
I want to
Matter of
respect
fact,
your
you
time.
said extended another hour.
Maybe,
So,
maybe.
let me go get another one. Then hold on, I'm gonna leave you. One second, I gotta go to the bar.
No worries. Go to the bar.
I got my
one of
dollar.
those.
All right.
Yes, and so make sure you tip your bartender and your staff tonight by hitting that like button and dropping a nickel on that subscribe button. And we love all of you. So thank you again for your support. Let me go to the channel here before we get in. We're going to get into the defense, but let me see here. Lots of people saying Sophia is killing it. Yes, Sophia from Hawaii. We'd love to get you on one of these days, bringing us facts. And then who else we got here? Hi, Keith. I watched the AFC Roundtable. I would love another show to watch. So, Mark, we actually, Keith is part of the AFC East Summit channel. So a little different channel. AFC Roundtable's out there, been out there a while. They're a good bunch of guys. We actually love watching them, but we couldn't get a seat at that table. So the guys started the AFC East Summit. And so check them out. They are going live tomorrow and Monday, I think. So you should love what they're bringing you there. What else we got here? Mark, check out our show. And all right, I think we're caught up. All right, we're gonna get into the defense, Tommy. Lots of good. So just to recap, the offense, I was extremely impressed. I mean, when you play preseason games, it's not about winning. It's always good if you get the win, but it's not about winning. I mean, I've told Jake back in the days, the Marv Levy days, Bills could be 1-3. We played 4 preseason games back then. They didn't really care about winning preseason games. They cared about evaluating talent, shaking off some of the rust. And but again, it's always nice when you get the win. But what we saw on that offensive side of things, oh my goodness, great start. Love what I saw. So let's get into the defense. Let me give you the starting defense. Your starting defense for the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
Gregory Rousseau, Ed Oliver, Tim Settle. Now we know Daquan Jones. Daquan Jones is your day one starter. He's, they had already announced that he wouldn't be in there. AJ Epinesa, Matt Milano, Tyrell Dotson at linebacker. Then you had Tre'Davious White. Dane Jackson got to start at cornerback too. Saran Neal, who actually saw a lot of playing time. I don't know if they're trying to showcase him. I know you and Tommy were talking about, Boogie. Maybe, and Boogie did get a lot of time too.
He did.
Showcasing Boogie maybe for a possible trade, but what I saw from Boogie, we'll talk about that in a little bit. I don't know if I want him to be traded. Saran did get a lot of play time, but it was great to see. How great was it, Tommy? Poyer and Micah Hyde out there. Those two back together.
Love it, man. Best safety duo in the NFL, in my opinion. And maybe I'm biased because I'm a Bills fan, but they've been doing it so long. I think they're the longest as far as like safety duo in the NFL. And they read off each other. It's just a great unit to have, a great set of vets out there. And I still think they're playing at a pretty good high level. Micah Hyde's back. It's great to see. He actually went in for like a blitz package at one point. Love seeing that. And man, I'm just excited for both healthy and hopefully could stay healthy for the season because they are right now the leaders back there on defense with a very young DB room, except for Trey. So it's good to have that. And last year we didn't have that because Hyde went out week 2. Poyer was banged up all season. We were kind of mix and matching the safeties last year. And, people overlooked that about, Hyde going out for the season. That was a big loss, man. And a lot of people don't talk about that. We lost a leader, a guy that can work with Poyer. Like they work the best together. Then you're throwing out Johnson, then DeMar. It was just started getting a little messy, a little sloppy in the back there. And I think, that's why you saw, I felt like last year, the DBs and the safeties was a little rough at times. And that's because we didn't have that leader in Hyde back there. And now we got him back. So yeah, I'm excited, very excited to have them back. As long as they can stay healthy, I think they're going to do exactly what we know what they can do, right? Which is ball out.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah. We're going to talk more about the safeties in a little bit because there's a lot to talk about because they're We do have some great depth at the safety position. Of course,
Yeah.
we saw number 3 come back, which we'll talk about in a little bit here.
Yeah.
We did have a question, Mike and Tommy. And again, Mark, we're going to get into the linebackers here right after we talk about the D linemen. Linebackers are a hot topic with all of us, that middle linebacker battle that's going on. So we're going to talk about that shortly. So stay with us just a few more minutes because Jake is interested in that as well. Let's see what else we got going on here. All right, good stuff. So for me, on the takeaways on the defensive line, Tommy, is that we have amazing depth. When the second teamers came in, they were still dominant. They were absolutely dominant. And some folks that stuck out to me, or one in particular, was Boogie Basham. Boogie Basham saw the field for 19 snaps. He had a sack. He had a couple tackles, and he was all over the field. I mean, he looked. I don't know if he's worked on in the offseason on his physique. He just looked like a different person. I saw flashes of Jerry Hughes running around the field with his speed, his size. And again, I know everyone's thinking that they're going to showcase him for a possible trade. But I liked what I saw yesterday. He was playing the inside, outside, seemed to be all over the field. Whenever there was something happening, I saw 55 flying around. So your thoughts on Boogie's performance yesterday?
Yeah, listen, man, I thought it was good. And I'm glad for him. I don't want any player. I mean, I'm not rooting for any player to play bad so we can cut or trade them. Like that's not what I do. I do feel like they are showcasing him. And I do feel like more than likely he's going to wind up being traded, in my opinion. Now, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And if he makes a team, great. That means he earned it. And I got nothing but respect for that. And hopefully he can continue to get better as he's a Buffalo Bill. But I don't see him making the team, in my opinion. Now, the only other spot there on the D-line that had a rough going in the beginning was Tim Settle. I thought he played out of position. I thought the run tackling, I thought the running backs were getting up the middle too easy on us early on. The Settle was out of spot a lot of the times. He got blown up a few times actually. But then he settled in later in the second quarter. He started making plays. He started coming around once Poona Ford came in. So it was a little different than he got moved to the 3 tech. So I don't like that he's backing up Daquan. It was a little odd to me. I thought Poona Ford, that should be Poona Ford's job. And you saw what Poona Ford can do when he came in, played very good. But yeah, Settle started bad and winded up playing a lot better as the game went on, but as he moved to 3 tech. So, but going back to Boogie, I'll be honest with you. I hated the pick when we did that. I didn't understand the pick. Going back-to-back edge, it just made no sense there. And I think Bean understands that now. And I think Bean, at this point, with how filled the room is, you got to get something for him. And if you wait around and he doesn't produce again this season, he's just not used, you're going to, what you wind up getting for him next season is probably going to be nothing. And you're going to wind up cutting him. So sometimes you got to take your L and get what you can. And they may be doing that with him. And listen, by the way, they've done that. They did that. They do that every season. It seems like Bean showcases a player and winds up trading him.
Well, let me tell you, he did a good job showcasing him because Boogie on the PFF chart, 77.4 score. He was green all across the run defense, the pass rush. I mean, like I said, he already had a sack. So Boogie, I mean, look, if you want to trade someone, that's a great way to start things. And
100%.
Have that type of game. I'll mention a little bit about Settle. So, like you said, you kind of nailed it. Settle struggled early. Why would he struggle early? He was going against the first teamers. The first teamers, that offensive line for the Colts, extremely good. Extremely good. I mean, they have a right guard problem, which, but other than that, and they're all homegrown. Their complete offensive line has been drafted by Indy. And a couple of years ago, Jonathan Taylor went crazy. And Taylor was hurt. So if he's back, they're gonna depend on that run game a lot, like they did a couple of years ago. But they're extremely good, and you saw Settle struggle. Now Settle started to do better, of course, when he was against the second teamers and third teamers. So I think we'll see more Poona Ford. I kind of agree with you. but it's still early. I expect to see Puna Ford in the next game or two. By the way, if I look a little red, it's because I am burned. I was out in soccer in San Diego, sunny California, for 2 straight days trying to protect my skin and whatever, but I got burned, unfortunately. So I'm looking a little red. It's not the camera. It's not the lighting. I'm burned. So let's see here. What other notes did I have? We kind of talked about it. Is there anything else you had on the defensive lineman there, Tommy?
No, I thought, listen, man, Gregory Rousseau saw very few snaps, but I'm going to tell you right now, he's going to have a great year. I just feel it. He took a major step last year, which is exactly what you want to see, double his sacks. And Leonard Floyd is a guy also I'm excited to see. He saw very minimum snaps yesterday as well. He was on the field for maybe a few, I think. And I'm just excited. I'm excited. This is the deepest, I think, both O-line and D-line in the McBean era that both, as far as depth goes. So, yeah, I'm just excited to see what they could do in the regular season. But, yeah, I love it. I love all of it. But Rousseau, look for him to have a 10-plus sack season, in my opinion. I think he's going to get it. I could see him getting about 12 this season. So, yeah, I mean, I'm excited, man. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Beautiful. By the way, too, Jordan Phillips, is coming back as well. So, I'm excited to see him as well. You may see him next week. I knew he wasn't going to play this week because he just got back in practice, but you may see Jordan Phillips get some playing time next Saturday.
Yeah. So Rousseau, everyone's talking about he missed that tackle, but let me tell you, Rousseau was involved in the interception. I'm pretty sure it was him. So I think Rousseau got inside and was basically right in front of Richardson. And if you notice that throw, Richardson sidearmed it.
Yep.
And there's a reason why. He had Groot standing in front of him. So he made a great play there. I'm pretty sure, I'm 98% sure that it was Rousseau. Check the film and let me know if I'm wrong there. But Rousseau going to have a fantastic, Jake, all the guys that we do shows with are expecting 10 plus sacks from him. So super excited about that one. All right, Tommy, let's get into it. Everyone's been talking about the linebacker. We had a couple questions. We had a super chat from Jake. We had Mark asking us. So the middle linebacker, coming into or towards the end of camp, it was down to Bernard and Dotson. Well, Bernard got injured. He pulled a hamstring a couple days before preseason game 1. And if you know anything about Bernard, he has a long history of injuries. If you look back at his college years, he gets injured a lot. So here we go, preseason, and the backup was Balen Spector. And Dotson didn't get a lot of play time, but when he did, he was quiet. I thought Balen was quiet. But there's one guy who wasn't quiet. And if you look at his tackle, he was the leading tackler. And when that guy gets his hands around you, you're going down, which I love to see. And that was Dorian Williams. And I want to ask you, he was the biggest splash for me at that linebacker position. And I want to ask you, Tommy, is there a case? I know they said they didn't want to give him a chance. Jake believes he's going to be that middle linebacker, whether it's day 1 or day 4. He believes he will be there. But why can't you explore that, especially knowing that Bernard's injured? We don't know how long he'll be out with that hamstring. And Balen Spector was a 7th rounder. You got a 3rd rounder here who just was a tackling machine yesterday. Why does he even have to be the guy calling the plays? I know they want that middle linebacker to be the Mike, but why? Why not? Why not have Milano? Why not have one of your safeties? I don't know. But I think I'm kind of agreeing with Jake. What I saw yesterday, they've got to give this guy a shot at middle linebacker. What's your thoughts, Tom?
Yeah, I don't get it, man. When they drafted him initially, I was like, ugh. Like, I wasn't excited about the pick at first, but then watching the guy's film and then also understanding what McDermott is going to bring to this defense, a little bit, more aggressive style defense, I thought this is a perfect guy that he wants, a faster type linebacker, get after the quarterback, and a good tackler. So, but then once they switch it up, I said, no, he's going to be outside linebacker backing up Milano. I just didn't understand it. And I got to say, man, Dotson was all over the place yesterday. I was not happy with Dotson's play at all. He didn't stand out. Like I said, I felt like he was out of place a few times. I think McDermott was even talking to him at one point on the sideline about something. Who knows what, but could have been that. I just I didn't see anything. And then obviously with Bernard getting hurt with his track history, I have no faith in that. And Spector is still raw. And I just have a feeling they're going to go Dotson because Dotson is the guy that's been here. I think McDermott trusts him. I think he's going to be the Mike. I'm not happy with it. I actually thought, and I still think it could come down to this, that they might have like middle linebacker by committee almost, depending on who we're playing, which I wouldn't hate that idea either, and just have Milano be the Mike, but I don't know, man. I'm not happy with the middle linebacker at all. I don't feel like they addressed it at all. Now, once again, I will say, well, let's wait till players get cut because you could see a veteran come in here, a guy that is a surprise cut from a team and get on board. But even then, it's gonna, they're gonna have to learn the system, all that. So I have a feeling week 1 is gonna be Dotson, man. I just do. But I agree. Dorian Williams looked really sharp yesterday. But if you're gonna give him the opportunity, then you got to do it now.
Yep.
You got to do it next week, and you got to put him in there and see what he could do against the ones. And if he showcases good, then you got yourself a middle linebacker going into week 1. But if they don't do that next week, and he's again going in with the 2s and 3s or whatever, then he's not going to get the opportunity.
I agree. It's got to happen next week. And I want to, how cool would it be to see him and Milano next to one another? Let's go. I want to see that. Give this young man a chance. He was all over the field making great plays, and his tackling skills are obviously they were on display yesterday, and they were next level. Keith, I want to say thank you for the super chat. Mike and Tommy, you guys rock. Great show, but you should reconsider your respective fandoms. Come to the dark side, boys. Never. Mark, I want to ask you something, sir. Why do you not see Dorian at middle linebacker this season? But with what we just talked about, with Bernard's injury history, with Spector being a 7th rounder, and don't get me wrong, I think Spector's still in the mix there. And Dotson, I know he's there, but his ceiling, I don't think his ceiling is that high.
No, he's just nope.
Right?
Nope.
I mean,
I think he's a player. I think he's going to be one of those guys where he's like a Band-Aid. Like I said, the offensive line. He's okay. I think we can manage this season with him, and then we'll worry about the middle linebacker next offseason. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way they see him as this is the guy. He's going to be our future middle linebacker for years to come. Like, I don't think they see that at all in him. I just feel like it's one of those things McDermott loves. Like, he's a McDermott guy. Like, I trust him, he's a veteran, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to stick with this dude, and that's it, man. So I don't know. I'm not happy with it. I think they didn't. That's a position they didn't address at all in the offseason. But it's tough though, Mike. You got to know that. Like, you can't address every single position and get it right. Like, sometimes there's going to be a position you just can't address, and you got to just go on with the season like how we are, and hopefully somebody stands out. And I think that's what they're doing right now. And it's just not. It's not really. Dotson's not standing out. I think how they thought maybe he would, at least week 1. Now week 2 could change. You never know. But yeah, I'm not satisfied with it.
I mean, he didn't have a large number of snaps, so
no, he didn't.
We'll see. We'll see next week. And I like your idea about seeing what happens after preseason on the cuts. I want to ask you something. So one of the guys that I want to see what your philosophy is. If you're an old school guy like me, where I want that big physical middle linebacker, Jack Campbell was out there. I was expecting Campbell to be available when it got down to us, and then I think it was Detroit who snagged him.
Lions.
The Lions snagged him. What was your thought? Are you a big physical middle linebacker guy? Or are you with the new age where you're going to have these smaller guys that can run sideline to sideline?
Depends on the system. I mean, we had that big linebacker. We had no idea how to use him.
Yeah.
So let's be real. Like,
that's a different.
I'm going to tell you. Yeah, Edmonds. I'm going to be watching this season.
Yeah.
There's always those players that leave Buffalo. I'm always intrigued about, and Edmonds is one of them. And Singletary, because I kind of felt like Singletary got the raw deal here. Bad offensive line, didn't get a lot of snaps. Was a really good teammate. I thought he was a lot better than a lot of people thought he was. And he's a player I'll be definitely watching his career to see how it goes. But Tremaine Edmonds is a beast, like, and he just was not used right, in my opinion. I thought like, you know, his production, like what we could have used, like as far we could have put him on the edge at times. Like we just weren't creative enough with a guy like that. And I think Chicago is going to do that, man, with him. But we just didn't do it right. So no, a bigger middle linebacker here. No. And I think that's why they went out and got like Dorian Williams, like a Bernard, you know what I mean? Like it looks like they're going to what McDermott likes, a faster type middle linebacker. So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out.
That's fair. All right, let's get into the corners. And, of course, this is the other big camp battle going on amongst three guys. But it looked like to me, I don't know. I don't know if it really is an open battle, but let's talk about that. So Kaiir Elam, who had the most snaps, he had 40 snaps. Mm-hmm. They played him a lot. Christian Benford had 35 snaps. Dane Jackson had only 5 snaps. And, of course, he gets that interception, and now it's like, is he a lock? But let me just say this. Kaiir Elam and Benford, they both had pass interference calls on them. You know, Kaiir continues to be a little handsy, and that can really cost you in the regular season. So I'm concerned about that. I do feel like he's got the highest ceiling, but I don't know. It feels like Dane Jackson's going to be that day one starter. And again, it's a shame because he was only on the field for 5 snaps. And it's not like he did anything special for that interception.
Yeah.
I mean, it was Richardson, bad throw, right to me. I mean, just make the catch. Good. You made the catch. Fantastic. Right. But what's your thoughts on this battle here, man?
Man, I hope Kaiir can figure things out. I think that's what's going on right now. He is too handsy. He was his knock in 2022 when they had him wear boxing gloves in practice because he was too handsy. It was his knock so far in camp this year, and Diggs wound up getting him his face. I believe on Thursday, last day of camp, Dorsey had to go and talk to him about it. There's nothing wrong with being physical, but I think he's just a little bit too handsy. And I will say this though, the pass interference was questionable. I didn't think he was that bad of a hold. I really don't. Very minimal, but it is what it is. He got called for it. But right now, I still think he's finding his way, and he hasn't gotten there yet. And I think Benford's slightly ahead of him as far as that goes. The way they talk about Benford, it seems like he's just a guy that's catching on quicker to the system at least. And Dane Jackson is turning into like the Levi Wallace, just the guy it's not like great, but he's a guy they feel like they can trust. And I mean, the interception was easy peasy. I think Kaiir, Benford, anyone would have gotten that, but it does obviously help that he did get it. So we'll see what happens with Dane, man, in this race. But so far, Kair's not helping himself, man. With what's going on in camp, and then obviously you get called for a holding right away in preseason. So yeah, he has to work on that, man. And lucky for him, it's only his second year, so he has time. He's not going anywhere. He's a first round pick. So we'll see what happens with Kaiir, but I don't think he's going to win that spot, man. Not this year.
Right. So Tommy, you kind of mentioned this with the middle linebacker, and we did a show a couple of weeks ago with Jake's good friend Timmy, and he said, why couldn't they rotate based on the situation here? You got a press cover guy and Kaiir. If you need that, he's your guy for that. You got Benford, who is familiar with his own scheme. And you got Dane Jackson, the vet who's been there for a while. Why not rotate them? And before I throw that over to you, I just want to say that if you're looking at PFF, and I don't agree with these scores, I got to say, I've always had a problem with PFF. It's just a tool. Take it with a grain of salt. I do like they give you the number of snaps. But Kaiir Elam, they rated him a 46.1. 46.1? I did not see that yesterday. Come on. They gave him a coverage grade of 38.5. Seriously? I thought he played coverage decent other than that PI. And like you said, Tommy, that was iffy. Benford, they gave him a 59.8 score. His coverage was 57.1. He was on the field, 35 snaps. and then Dane Jackson coming in with a 90.5. Of course, that's on a small sample,
Right, right.
5 snaps. So what about that rotational possibility? Maybe same situation. Look who you're playing.
Yeah, they did it last year. They did it with
Mm-hmm.
Benford and Elam last year. They did rotate them. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if McDermott does that again. But once again, I will say this too. And Mikey on my show made a great point, and I don't know why I never even thought about it. But last year, I wasn't truly happy with Dane Jackson's play, but I will say this: he was our CB1. He took on a big role last year while Trey was coming back, so he was going against the best. So I'm gonna say I don't think he played as bad as maybe now that I think he did, because he's going against really the best of the best week in, week out. And now he's going to CB2 back to where, so maybe we see a better Dane Jackson than what we saw last year when he's going against, the best of the best. So we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, as far as like Benford and Elam go, yeah, you might see the same thing you saw last year. Them kind of rotating in and out, and depending on who we're going against. So yeah, I can see that.
I can see. I see what you're saying there, Sean. That would be very telling. But I'm not saying only bring him in on press coverage, but I'm just saying in crucial situations you might want to, because they obviously can play both. Dane Jackson, is he Levi Wallace version 2, a little better?
A little better. He's definitely a little better. And I respect Levi Wallace, undrafted, earned his spot on the team.
Year after year,
I respect any player that does that. You know what I mean? So like Mikey was a little rough on him. And I get it, but he earned everything he got while he was here. He earned his contract in Pittsburgh. So I got nothing but love for people that do that. But I understood too, he just wasn't the guy for that CB2 role. At least while here, I wasn't satisfied. Yeah. But it wasn't a knock on him. I still think he's a good football player. But that's how I kind of feel about Dane. But I feel like Dane's a little bit better than Levi. I feel like he has a little bit more speed than Levi. But Dane's problem last year, I felt like he was getting beat and getting back to the play, but he wasn't making a good play on the ball by either batting it away or whatever, a good tackle. Like it seemed like he was getting beat a lot last year. And the year before, I felt like he played a lot better when he was a CB2. So we'll see. Like I said, we'll see what he does this year. But I have a feeling he is going to be your CB2. I just have a feeling.
Based on the fact that they only played him for 5 snaps, they really wanted to see what Benford and Elam could do. And it's probably going to be the same thing next week as well. I'd expect them both Elam and Benford getting the majority of the snaps, and someone has to step up big time and maybe get back in the conversation. But I agree with you, Tommy. Right now, it's Dane Jackson.
Like what I like from, I do like Elam's aggressiveness. I do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like we need that. And I feel like sometimes we're passive on our DBs. We kind of give that cushion. But I don't know if McDermott's going to ever play that aggressive style that Elam likes to play, that man coverage, tight coverage, and that's where he's kind of having a tough time with that zone. So I don't know if it's just not going to ever, he's never going to fit into that scheme of a type of defense. And maybe that's the downfall for him here in Buffalo. Maybe he goes somewhere else and plays a lot better with a different style of defense, but we'll see. We'll see, man. We'll see if he catches on with what McDermott likes to run here.
I sure hope so. I mean, we wanted him, Jake and I. That was one of our targets for cornerback when we took him. The guy's 6'1". He's almost 200 pounds. He runs a high 4.3. He's super fast, so he can stay up with pretty much any wide receiver. Christian Benford's also 6. He's 6'1". They're both 6'1". Benford's 200, not quite as fast, and Jackson's the smallest of the bunch. But, I mean, it's going to be, again, if I had a favorite, obviously I want Elam in there. But if Dane Jackson earns it, he earns it. And, it's good to have this situation. I keep saying this. These 3 guys could be starters, and I love the depth here. But we'll see. Those 2 guys, both Benford and Elam, need to have a better game than they had last week and do something big in order to take Dane Jackson. Or I don't know, I hate to say this, but you always have injuries that happen as well. So, all right, man, let's get into the safeties. And yes, Damar Hamlin returned to the field, and what an exciting time. He's actually out on the field. I would have never thought this, honestly, preseason. I didn't think we'd see Damar for weeks into the regular season. I really didn't. This young man's out on the field taking hits. He played 22 snaps, Tommy. Not only 22 snaps, but he was on I think he was on special teams as well.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
And PFF loved him. PFF gave him a 71.2 for those 22 snaps on the field. And so I think it was Jake saying we have the best trio safeties. We have obviously Hyde, we have Poyer, we have Taylor Rapp, and we have Damar Hamlin. Cam Lewis can play.
Yeah,
I mean,
Cam Lewis got a good camp.
The depth in our cornerbacks and our safeties is next level, Tommy. I'm super excited about this. I mean, we're in good shape here. I don't know.
Yeah, man. No, I do, man. I like Damar coming out of Pittsburgh. I was happy with the pick when we picked him up, and I was happy for him to get the opportunity last year that he got. I thought he struggled at times last year a little bit, but I thought he played well. And up until he got hurt, obviously, and so the scary thing that happened against the Bengals. But I honestly did not think he was going to play this season. I was saying it all off season. I thought he mentally was going to needed a year off. I really thought he was going to take a year off to just kind of soak everything in, because that's tough. That's really, really tough. And physically he's fine, right? The doctors, everybody, gave him the green light, but mentally is where the struggle, and he even understands that. I know he said he even teared up in this game. Like that's where it was a little. That's why I thought no way he's going to return this season. He needs to kind of just get right. But he was mentally strong enough to come back, and I felt like the players too, teammates also had to be mentally strong, because. The first tackle, everyone wants to see him bounce back up, no issues. And I just love that the coaches gave him the opportunity week 1 preseason. He was out there on special teams, out there playing safety. And he looked good, man. He looked good. Looked like he's ready to go. And I'm glad he got that out of the way. And I think now he can move forward. Right? I think that the mental hurdle is over with. And I'm happy for that dude, man. Really, really happy. It's a great story. And yes, he will make the team. I know a lot of people are questioning, will he make the 53? I think it would be terrible if the Bills cut him, and I don't think the Bills will cut him. I think he earned his spot on the team when he was a rookie. And I think he earned it last year when he stepped in, which was big shoes to fill for Hyde. And for everything he's gone through to come back, he's earned. He's going to earn everything, and he'll make this time. He'll make the team. He'll make the roster.
Yeah, I agree. Go Bills podcast. Yeah, last call for the $1 drinks and the wings, 50-cent wings. So get your orders in now. And Mark, I respect your response to my question. Thank you for answering that, because you said McDermott said Williams will be outside linebacker in 2023. But I have to ask you, and again, my thought is, if I'm a coach and I'm seeing that, my goodness, the middle linebackers that I thought were going to be competing just aren't doing anything, and I see Dorian Williams step up, like, can I change my mind? I would think so. But we'll see.
You can. Next week will tell you a lot.
Yeah. So, Tommy, what was your thoughts? I want to talk about Surround Neal. Mm-hmm. He was on the field for 39 snaps. Why were we playing him so much? What's your take there?
I love Surround Neal. They're not showcasing Surround Neal. Listen, Surround Neal is a great special team player. He is a hybrid, man. He could play safety. He could play corner. He could play special teams. That dude, I'm telling you, man, everyone, like every interview I've ever heard from Bills players, they said he is like the ultimate package. Like that dude can do it all. speed, power, like everything, smart. And I just think listen, McDermott loves the dude. I don't think that guy goes anywhere. They signed him, gave him an extension, I believe, last year. I just cannot see him getting off this team, and he's a favorite, fan favorite as well, man. So no, I don't think they're showcasing Saran Neal at all. I think he's just a player that wants to be out there. Look at his track history, man. Good player's been healthy. Anytime we need him to fill in a corner or safety, God forbid, whatever, he's there. Can't really get rid of a player like that, in my opinion. Right? He's kind of like your Ryan Bates of defense, right?
Yeah.
Like a guy that can fill in any position, and you're comfortable with it. You get rid of a guy like that, it's tough because now you're missing out, right? You're missing out on a player that can step in at any time. And I felt like yesterday, man, he made some good plays out there. Physical as always, right? Dude can hit, good speed. He's not perfect. He's just a good all-around football player. And McDermott loves those players, man. So I would be shocked if they're showcasing him to ship him off somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I would too. But the only thing I would say to that, with our cornerback depth, our safety depth, we should not see Saran Neal on the field playing defense this year. We shouldn't, with all the guys that we have ahead of him. But he's only
absolutely.
Yeah, but like you said, he's signed for special teams. He's a great special teams guy, and if you need him for those other things, absolutely. I was just surprised by the number. I mean, he had to have the highest snap count on defense. And when you have these other rookies that you could have put in there and protect this guy, right? You always talk about protecting these guys if they're so important, which he is on special teams. So I was just a little surprised, wondering what your take was on that snap count, because it was one of the highest.
A little high for him too, but who knows? Who knows? But I don't think it was a showcase because he's done. It's not a Boogie situation where Boogie's just not been a non-factor, and a second round pick as well. You know what I mean? Like, I think they're just two different players. I think they just want to see maybe what he could do at different positions. Just knocking around. Who knows? But
good points.
No, I don't think they're moving on or showcasing Saran Neal.
Yeah, Womp Donkey loves Saran Neal total package. And I will tell you this, Jake is a huge fan of Saran Neal. I mean, since I met him day one, he's always talked about this young man. So, again, good stuff there. I do want to say, first of all, we're going to get into special teams here, and then we'll talk a little bit about the upcoming preseason game against Pittsburgh. I think it's next on the schedule.
Yeah.
But in the description of this video, I am going to have a link to Mafia Sports Report, where Tommy is. Please get down there, hit that link, get over and subscribe to this guy. His show is fantastic. You see what he's doing here tonight. And him and Mikey, him and Miles, look, let me tell you something about him and Mikey. They do a fantastic job covering the Bills. But one night, I was super bored on a Saturday evening. I was home alone, not sure where my wife was. I think she was out with her friends. And I'm on this, and I think I was preparing for my Sunday show, because Saturday nights is typically when I'm getting stuff ready. And all of a sudden, I see him go live. I get the notification because I subscribe, and I get the notifications. And they're talking about boxing. And I think it was it UFC or MMA?
It was boxing. It was both. It was two events.
I'm like, oh, what's he going to be talking about? The Bills? And I'm like, boxing, MMA. He's taking over the world. So I listened to the show. And look, I used to love boxing back in the day with the older guys, with Leonard, Sugar Ray, Hearns. That's back in the day with Mike Tyson. But I haven't watched boxing in a long time. But listen, I didn't care. These guys were fantastic. Him and Miles, they were entertaining. They were giving us the blow by blow. It was so much fun, and they entertained me for a couple hours. Again, I had nothing to do, but they're doing a fantastic job. So I love that. And so get on over to their channel and subscribe. You'll be happy.
I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. Yeah, we got, by the way, too, I know you guys do your AFC East Summit. Yeah. We have the shakedown that we're having this year. We finally got a Jets guy. By the way, I've been doing that for like 2
Tell me about it, the Jets.
It was so tough to find a Jets podcast guy. I was messaging so many and nobody would accept it. And I finally got a guy to do it this season with me. So we do ours on Saturday, guys, at 6:00. And it's the same thing. It's like a round table. right? So I got a Dolphin guy. So if you guys have ever heard of Curtis from Ace Per Head, he's the Dolphins content creator. He's on with me, and it's me covering the Bills, and then the new guy at BX Sports, and then I got Sports Dynasty that cover the Patriots. Great guys as well. So it's fun. It's different.
Yeah.
And I know you guys do your thing. So I always like that. Like I like to hear from different content creators on their team. It's always good, man. So it's a great time. So that'll be this season, guys, as well at 6:00. So yeah, a lot going on over here at the channel.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, it's funny you say Jets because we're having the same issue. When I reached out to get that channel going, and again, I'm not on it. I just helped get it going. I went out to Reddit and I kind of posted ads on Reddit looking for. I went into each team. Believe it or not, the Patriots kicked me right out. They said, "Get out of here. We're locking you out from the New England Reddit." I was just saying, hey, I'm looking for a guy who knows the Patriots, wants to get on a podcast and talk about them. Booted me. I'm like, seriously? But the Jets, the Dolphins, we got good responses there, but they ended up flaking. And we have two friends. I have one guy I work with, and then another friend, a young guy that I've known for years, and they're both good. They're just always unavailable. And that's where we found Keith. Keith does a fantastic job. So use Reddit, Tommy. That's where I found my co-host, Jake. I'll tell you that story someday. It's
yeah, you didn't know. You told me. Yeah.
Did I tell you the story? Yeah. All right.
No, I got my guys. Hopefully they show up. Now, the other guys always show up. It's the Jets. It's the Jets content guy that I have had a difficult time, but he seems like a good dude. Hopefully he shows up and talk about his Jets. So
we'll be sure to check that show out because I love, like you said, I love hearing from the other teams. I actually like when we're playing a team. So this is a lot of fun for me too. So on our show now, like we can reach out to these guys. If we're playing the Jets, let's get the Jets rep on our show and talk about the upcoming game and the Dolphins. We play these guys 6 games a year. So it's just, I love hearing the other side of it as well. So good stuff. Thanks, Tommy. We'll definitely check out that. I haven't seen that one yet. You call it what? The AFC East?
Shakedown.
I haven't checked that out, but I surely will.
All right, cool, man.
So the final thing as far as yesterday goes is just special teams. And if I didn't talk about special teams, Jake would be all over me because Jake is a huge special teams guy. So Jake, this is for you and only for you, man. I mean, obviously, they look good. The coverage was good. The only thing, Bass missed an extra point, but hey, it was a windy day, and let's let him get that. Let's forgive him in a preseason game because we know what he does in the regular season. There was a lot of rookies, a lot of offensive players playing special teams.
Yeah.
So that was cool to see, and I thought they did a great job. And that's, I think, Tommy, you've mentioned it many times. That's one good way to make the team. McDermott and Bean, they love special teamers, and these guys were willing to do that. So what was your thoughts on special teams? Anything?
Nothing stood out. I think McDermott, McDermott is a special teams dude, loves the special teams, like you said. And I felt like I thought the kick return, I thought the defense handled their job on that. They pinned them down. I think they only had one good return. Other than that, we seemed to tackle them before the 20 on multiple times. I love our punter, by the way, Sam Martin. Excellent. That was a mess. We got lucky with him. I got to be honest.
We did.
We got really lucky on him because he's a really good punter and a good play. He holds the ball good, placeholder. And the only thing I want to see from Bass this year, fine, get that crap out of the way, the extra point, it happens, but don't kick it out of bounds this season. Like he had multiple games last year where he did that, and you can't do that. Like giving the opponent the ball at the 40 is a killer, man. So I don't want to see that at all from him this season. Other than that, love Tyler Bass, love what he does. Best kicker we've had in a long, long time. Excellent 6th-round pick, worked out in our favor. We gave him the extension, so he's good to go. He's not going anywhere. Sam Martin got the extension this offseason. He's not going anywhere. So happy with the special teams, happy with the depth of special teams. I know Tyler Matakevich is coming back soon from his injury, so we have really good depth there. Saron Neal. And I think Justin Shorter's going to probably wind up playing special teams, and he did that during college. Terrell Bernard is good at special teams. So we have a good special team unit, man. So I'm not concerned at all with that. Yeah, that's it. I mean, nothing really stood out, but I felt like everyone handled their business.
There you go, Jake. That was for you, sir. Mark, thanks for putting your practice squad out there. I do want to say this because I have a lot of notes. This guy, I don't want to see Van Denmark at tackle at all based on yesterday's game. That dude was getting destroyed by second teamers, third teamers. And yeah, he's a huge project if they do keep him. But I love everything else that you're saying. Shane Ray. I mean, Shane Ray is an interesting one because, yeah,
he did okay yesterday. Yeah. I mean, nothing shine. Like he didn't shine, but felt like he played okay.
Yeah.
And that's also another guy that's probably going through a little mental hurdle, being on the field for the first time in 4 years on an NFL field. So that's another guy that's kind of has a long uphill battle to make this team. But like I said, man, you can earn it. You got 2 more games to go. So we'll see. I'm rooting for the guy. We'll find out what happens with that. But by the way, the tight end, terrible. He can't fumble the ball. He made a great play and then put the ball on the ground. One thing you don't do, like McDermott hates that. I hate it. Like I get so mad. But putting the ball on the ground, can't do that. And that'll cost you a job. So, boy, I don't know if he would need to bounce back in a big way. And I don't see it happening. He's a waste of a practice squad player, especially when you got Quentin Morris already on the team. I feel like that would be a waste. I don't see any room for him even on the practice squad.
Yeah. So Sean from Red, White, and Bills says, Van. How do you say his name? Van. Where was it? Where did you get it there? Van Denmark was good at left tackle, not at right tackle. But yeah. So maybe I missed the left tackle snaps. Sean, I rewatched the game, watched it live, rewatched it, and I'll check what PFF says as far as the number of snaps he was in. But every time I saw him, maybe it was that right tackle spot where I was catching it. Dude, he was getting burned all day. So a little concerning there. But so Tommy, that pretty much wraps up what I wanted to cover. Man, I've kept you for almost 2 hours. I'm so sorry, man. I'm so sorry, but I'm gonna return the favor because you've invited me to your show tomorrow. So I'm gonna be paying you back there, sir. But I want to ask you just, what are you looking for next week, real quick? We're playing Pittsburgh on Saturday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. The good old Pittsburgh Steelers. So what are you looking to see here?
Looking to see, obviously Allen and Diggs will play. They'll probably play, if I had to guess, a series or 2. And I'm looking for guys like Kincaid to get a little bit more, snaps, a little bit more opportunity. Though, honestly, even if I don't see it, I know what he's about. I've seen enough in camp to have faith in him going into week 1, but I still would like to see it because that's just, what I want to see. I want to see Trent Sherfield get more opportunity. I want to see Justin Shorter get more opportunity. Just some of the main guys that are fighting for positions. Kyer Elam, a little bit more opportunity. Benford as well. Who else would I like to see next? Hardy. I would like to see him more in the slot as well. Also on deep, maybe give him a deep ball, just to see, why not? And hopefully he gets more opportunity, maybe to, do a kick return or punt return. Maybe he can show us something there as well, which, by the way, he was an all-pro at kick return. So he has that down. So, and that's it. Obviously Allen going in there, it's going to be fun, but I already know what to expect from Allen. This is just basically him wanting to probably get the feel going again of an NFL game, knock a little rust off. Allen always says he likes to get hit, right? Likes to get that first hit out of the way, makes him feel like he's playing back in football again. So, I'm just excited for all these guys, man. Honestly, man. And God, week 1 will be here before you know it, man. So, that's it, really. Honestly, just the younger guys, really, and the guys in position battles. The main guys, I'm not too. I know what I expect from Allen, Diggs, Gabe Davis,
Position battles for me, middle linebacker, like you said, corners, like you said. I want to see Torrance again. I want to see him continue. back-to-back games
Torrance,
like
yeah,
he had.
yeah.
So he does that. It's a lock. Tommy, I got to see if you have my back on this one, but it's funny. The Trek reviewer, I saw him. I think he was on your show in the live chat. And and so Jake and I were doing our 53-man active roster show a little early, but we were doing it anyway. And I said, Cam Lewis makes the squad. Trek reviewer was beating me up left and right, saying there's no way Cam will be out. I think he said he'll be, I don't know where he said he'd be working, but he wouldn't be playing in the NFL. And here he is again saying, sorry, but Cam is being cut. What's your thoughts on Cam Lewis?
I don't think so. I think Cam makes a team, man. Cam's had a great camp. And he's a good player to have in case you need him. I don't, man. Especially, I still say with the DeMar thing. I know it's weird, and DeMar's making the team. But I just don't know how comfortable still they are putting DeMar out there with, I'm just throwing that out there. He'll make the team, but I think Cam might see more playing time if needed than DeMar, in my opinion. I could be wrong in there, but I think right now they're comfortable with Cam. Cam's had a good camp. So I don't see him going anywhere. And like I said, injuries happen, and Poyer and Hyde aren't getting any younger. Poyer's had that elbow thing going on. He's still wearing like a brace for protection now. Hyde with the neck thing. Now he's back. Still, you never know. We don't want to be fishing for safeties again when that time comes. So if that time comes, hopefully it doesn't. But no, you can't. I don't think you can get rid of Cam, man. Cam's been reliable. So yeah, I don't think Cam goes anywhere. I just don't.
The only way that happens, like he's injured right now. He has a groin injury. So if that persists, maybe. But otherwise, he's kind of like your Saran Neal. He can play every position. And
he plays
teams.
Corner as well. Yes.
Corner, slot corner, safety. Yeah. Come on now.
I just don't.
I'm just saying.
I
Well,
don't
listen, everyone. The bar is closed. So thank you, bartenders. They've been working hard for the last 2 hours. Make sure you tip your staff by hitting that like button, dropping a nickel on that subscribe button, and comments afterwards. If you're rewatching this, let us know what we talked about. If you agree, disagree, we'd love to hear from you. Tommy, thank you so much. It was so much fun to be with you. And I know it's late there where you are on the East Coast. 2 hours, man. Good. Man, I'm about to make this.
I've done 4-hour shows, man. All good.
Oh. Hey, at least our cameras, the tech all stayed together, which is always a concern when you get to these shows. Let's see here. I wanted to just make sure. Sophia, thank you again. Antonio, thank you Antonio's been a long time member. I don't know if he just joined, but hopefully you catch the rest of the show, Antonio, and love to see all of you. So thanks again. I'm going to end this with a really cool little outro I think you'll enjoy. It's kind of get you fired up for
Go
next
Bills.
week. Let's go Bills.
Bills Mafia, circling the wagon, you feel me? Nickel City Mafia, let's go!
Josh Allen, quarterback supreme, leading the Bills to the top of the league. Weapons by his side, and that defense hella mean. Buffalo's got a team that must be seen. I said Buffalo's got a team that must be seen. Yes. Come on. J17 leading the charge. Buffalo Bills on the rise. Passing game on point. Ain't no mirage. Happening right in your eyes. Ain't no surprise. Buffalo stacking the QB. Stephon Diggs holding in the pass. Group cards didn't have to go deep. We're circling wagon. Just wait and see. From Wyoming to the NFL, Josh Allen's got the skills. Air raid, deep ball, touchdown for real. Leading the Bills to playoff drills. Real time, this ain't no drill. Cold game, we're giving them chills. Check the score, now you know the deal.
Nickel City Mafia.